What's going on? Welcome to Creator Factor, and we're doing another segment of Creator to Creator. But before we dive in to the conversation, I got some housekeeping to do, and I just want to let you know that this episode, my friends, is brought to you by our friends at Riverside.fm. Riverside.fm is my Swiss Army knife for all things content creation and marketing, whether I'm recording talking head videos or hosting interviews like this one. Riverside Studio makes it easy to collaborate with just one click. Riverside allows you to locally record separate audio and video tracks, giving me the highest quality every time. And now with their AI tools, like AI generated show notes, transcripts, and text-based editing, which is my favorite, and Magic Clips, which allows you to share highlighted clips of every interview. If you're a content creator, Riverside.fm is the studio for you. Click in the link in the show notes to get your exclusive 15% discount off any plan. Now let's get to the show, because today, my fellow creator, I'm excited to just vibe with a good friend of mine. You guys know we've been following Creator2Creator. We've been talking to an array of content creators from different walks, personal growth and sports. And again, the whole mission for this segment is to talk to everyday content creators like you who are in the trenches. They're building their businesses and brands online. And, we just want to make sure that you know that there are other content creators like you on the creator journey, right? Where all the ups and downs and all the things that we're learning along the way. And as I mentioned, a good friend of mine is in the building today, and he's the host of The Color of Motion. Stories come in all shades. And this show is all about shining light on creative professionals of color in animation, motion graphics, and more. And his mission is dope. I mean, his mission is all about bringing diversity and inclusion while inspiring the next generation of creators. So I'm really excited about this. He's also a live show content creator who's out here making an impact with a show that is, well crafted both in design and production. And real talk, y'all, when I see his show, I'm a bit like, as you youngins say, low key jealous. Because his show is truly just, again, beautifully designed, well produced, and I've just seen him evolve as a live show creator. I'm gonna call him a live show creator. Hopefully that's okay, Don. Creator Factor fam, let's welcome to the show none other than my boy, my brother from another mother, Don Terrell in the building. Don, come on, baby, bring it in, bring it in.
Thank you there. Oh, yeah. And I met my other mother the other night. So
that's right. We're fam.
We're fam now. But no, thank you so much for inviting me on to Creator2Creator. You definitely have had some great guests on the show, so I'm just proud to be a part of it. Our story goes back a ways, so we've both seen each other's journey, and definitely, I want to thank you for all the hype that you gave me during the come into the show, but it is all because of you. Like I said, live streaming. I've learned a lot from you, just producing audio. So, my leveling up of my show is definitely in correlation to what you do. So
yeah. Well, the love is mutual, man, and respect, because I'm learning a lot from you, seeing, as I mentioned, like you just evolve, into this, I'm going to coin it, live show content creator, live show creator. Because that's one of the many things that you do, right? Host a live show. Yeah. Man, you mentioned, we go way back. We do, man. We go way back. We've had countless conversations about content, being a content creator, off air. And I'm curious to know, because I know you and I we met at an event that I put on. It was a digital marketing event. And then I remember I was a guest on your show back in the days called, what is it? Creative Coffee
and Conversation.
Remember, that was back 2016?
Yeah, that was, oh man, I can't even remember. It's so long ago. Yeah, Coffee and Conversation.
And that was a Facebook live show, I remember.
Yeah. And I think at the time, BeLive was the main.
Was it BeLive you were using?
Yeah, BeLive. I was using BeLive.
Are they still around?
That was like the first kind. I think so, but I don't think a lot of people use them now. There's so many streaming, softwares out there, and even platform. Like I said, social media has their own stream. Most social media has their own streaming kind of functionality now. So BeLive kind of went to the wayside as an app to use.
So let me ask you this. I don't think I've actually asked you this. How did you get started with the whole live stream show? Like, what inspired you to start that Coffee and Conversations?
I think at the time I was trying to get better at kind of just connecting with like my clients and audience, and I had taken like a 3-day speaking seminar, I guess you could say. My coach, Jonathan Sprinkles, who I follow his content, he's a big speaker. You probably heard of him, met him, Jonathan Sprinkles. And I think he was on Talking Creative. We had him on Talking Creative. But I learned a lot as far as just, how to better connect, start to try and find ways to connect. And at the time, live streaming was kind of starting to, at least on the social platforms, starting to pick up or get, mainstream. And, like I just said, BeLive was the app. So I said, well, let me, I guess, start to try and do it and get comfortable on camera, because I could see the way that it was going with video. It's just using the power of using video. I think that was the main thing I picked up from his seminar. It was really about being a better public speaker, but I wasn't really trying to be a better public speaker, but I was trying to find more creative ways of connecting with your clients. And he was showing just different creative ways and listening to the little small details when you talk to somebody, and then sending, something that makes you memorable. Like for instance, if you went into a meeting and you saw on their desk they had a baseball of a particular team, after the meeting you might think, well, let me send them something related to baseball, because you see he's interested in baseball. And finding those little ways of connecting. And video, he used video as one of the ways. So I saw the power of how video could be in connecting, and I just wanted to get better at speaking on video. And so it just kind of snowballed into that. And then, like I said, as I went to like your events and networking and marketing and digital marketing and things like that, you saw the kind of way media was kind of going. And then, with just the swell of social media.
Right.
And so for me, like I said, I'm a visual person, so it really kind of plays into, kind of what I do.
Right. And being that your background is, motion graphics and design.
Yeah, graphic design,
obviously,
and just, media. It's just a great, like I said, segue into it,
Interesting you said about how whenever you went through the whole, Jonathan training, and, you notice some things that, make you, stand out, and gifting and all that, how kind of some of those things that you learned during those early days that you have applied to your live show, because I feel like there's a lot of that happening with the new live show.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell you, my goal is to make it the best that I can make it, and bring the best production quality. We did our show. We learned a lot doing our show together.
Shout out to Talking Creative.
We had a great
COVID,
Talking Creative, and I think it still could have been rolling today. We just kind of had kind of that divergent moment where we wanted to try different things, and kind of in that space. You were doing more podcast consulting and podcasting, and I had this idea for this show, and then just kind of both things kind of took off on got a life of their own.
Yeah.
But I learned
real
a lot.
Quick, Don, I'm going to stop real quick, because I'm going to put pause, because for those who are listening and watching, it was like, what are you, Don, what y'all talking? Is this like, friends? What is this? We're going to keep you informed, y'all.
Yes. I keep forgetting.
Don and I, no, it's all good. Don and I had a show during COVID called Talking Creative.
Yeah.
And again, we just wanted to talk to creative entrepreneurs and learn and basically share tips and strategies. So we had about 50, I believe it was 50 episodes, right, Don, that we did?
It might be more. I have to go back through the archives. We did it about a good year and a half. Year and a half.
Yeah. Had a good run for sure.
Yeah, we had a good run.
And we had some great guests. Even back when I look back at the roster of guests, I'm like, man, I mean, we had, your Jonathan Sprinkle, we had a lot of people that you admired, and we had some great guests on that
Yeah.
show. But anyways,
Yeah.
going back, man, I just want to go fast forward. I just want to give our watchers and listeners some context. So we did have a show,
Yeah.
and then you were talking about kind of some of the lessons, man, that you learned.
Well,
and
yeah,
you took from there.
we learned a lot. Like I said,
Yeah, it was a good
I
experience.
definitely learned a lot because you had already come from that podcasting world. So, for all you listeners out there that may think my voice is good, Ozil was on me from the jump.
It was.
Yeah, I started using. I was raw. I started using my camera mic, and Ozil was like, "Dude, you
I
got to
remember
get
that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You using what?
So
No.
that's what I mean when that's what helps to inspire me to continue to ratchet up, making the production quality get better at what I'm doing. Because like I said, when I was doing it, I was using the computer mic. And you were supposed to say, just I don't really need to get a professional mic if you want to do this and stuff. And so that's what helps to keep me focused on trying to make it a better and better show.
I still remember that day, Don, where what was the microphone that you were using for Talking Creative early on? What was it? Were you using the Snowball? You were using
No, I was using my webcam
webcam,
mic.
but then you had another microphone. Didn't you have another microphone that you had, or no? Was it just a webcam?
It was the webcam. I went from the webcam to computer mic, and then that's what I bought the Yeti. I was using the Yeti.
Okay,
Yeti was kind of the first professional.
But I remember when you went from Yeti to when you went to the pod mic, and I was like, yes,
pod mic, yeah. Yeah.
Say, welcome, you graduated, man.
Hey, I had to balance it with money wise and stuff like that. So that was a nice little step for me.
Well, you know what?
But it was a quick step because I learned, like I said, it really did spark that interest in, okay, you need to, as you get into this, you're going to start leveling up on things. Because like I said, I was using a webcam, then I bought a Sony camera. So like I said, it was a big shift and jump as I started doing more and more live streaming and really getting into it.
Yeah.
Like I said.
And you dropped, I mean, again, for our creators, especially in the early stages, I think that's a valuable lesson that we just dropped there is highlighting the importance of just getting started, right?
Yeah.
You use your webcam, you got started, you were not allowing the tech to get involved. You did your thing, and then you went to the Yeti, which was, an upgrade to not having a microphone. And then from there, you got a pod mic, and then you just started sounding better. And then I started noticing right away. It's like, oh, wow, now the quality is leveling up. And I started seeing you.
And then you add that in with any audio production that you start getting more mindful about and tweaking of your board and all of that stuff. So like I said, you just start learning things and getting better, at trying to make it the best experience. And I've talked about this in, as far as my business and what I do is really focus on the experience of what people have when they deal with you. So I want the experience not only for my guests, but for the viewers as well to be a great experience and for them to get something of value, not just entertainment from it, but something of value from it. But I wanted to package it in a great and interesting and different way than what everybody else is doing.
We're going to talk about the way you package because I think that's one of your superpowers is the way you package and the brand experience you give to your viewers and, soon to be, listeners on the podcast. We'll talk about that in a bit. But let's talk about, man, the inspiration behind the color motion. Let's take it back. So we transitioned from Talking Creative. And then, we went in different directions and you were like, I remember when you first, I think I was one of the first where you said, hey man, I have this idea and I have this show. And I remember you told me the name of the show and then you gave me the tagline. I think the tagline sold me. I was like, ooh, it's coming on shades. I'm like, damn, that's really, really good. Every now and then you have a show. It's like, okay.
Every once in a while,
you knocked that out the park, man.
Every once in a while.
You knocked that one out the park, bro. When I saw it, I was like, okay, Don, he has a hit. It's a home run right here.
I do all right. Every once in a while, I have a goodie.
We all, every now and then, we all, we hit that home run. It's all good. Man. Hey, man, but when I saw you, go in that direction, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be solid. I mean, I loved it even from a podcast consulting or being that I coach and I'm all about just like really figuring out the niche in the industry you're gonna serve. And when I saw like who you were going to serve, I'm like, that's even better. Like, we're just not only you talking to creatives, but now you're talking to creatives from different backgrounds, right? Talk to me,
Yeah,
man. What was the was that something that was brewing for a minute and then that was just the season for you to be like, all right, let me go ahead and start the show? Like I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
know, man, like what inspired you to kind of start focusing on highlighting professionals of color and animation and motion graphics? Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now this has been something that's been kind of brewing around for a while, because my first passion and love has always been cartoons and comics, and animation. My day job and what I do, I'm blessed to be able to do motion graphics and video and work with some other equipment. But I've always had a love since childhood, to be a comic strip artist. But my thought was, like I said, you didn't see a lot of creators or characters, especially in my kind of generation, that look like you, and it's inspiring. Even though I had a lot of encouragement, in a lot of different areas, it's really inspiring, and it's really a powerful image when you see somebody that looks like you, that that comes from the same kind of background that you come from, and like I said, you see them doing the thing that you wanted to do. Like I said, when I was younger, I looked up to companies like Disney and Warner Brothers and stuff like that, and there were probably people of color that worked there, but those weren't the ones that you saw or heard about, type of thing. So I wanted to create a platform that really not only highlighted the creators of colors that were out there, but inspired other younger creators of colors and different backgrounds that this is a viable path. I think I hear so much from a lot of the uh, guests and friends that I have on the show that they never realized when they were younger that they could make a living doing this and
Mhm.
doing what they're doing. And there's power in exposing kids at a very young age to opportunities, especially opportunities of people of color that aren't normally exposed to those opportunities. Like I said, I was pretty fortunate. I grew up in a time where, the school had a lot of extracurricular art, things. So there were things that I was exposed to, and I was fortunate that I had, you know, like counselors and people that kind of saw my talent, that even though they didn't look like me, they still encouraged me. They saw my
Mhm.
talent and they encouraged my gift and what I wanted to do. But how much more powerful that would have been had it been somebody of color that looked like me that was
Mhm.
doing what I wanted to do. I didn't really have those kind of models or things to see from. And so as the world now gets a little smaller with the internet,
Yeah.
you start to realize there are a lot of people of color that are creating some amazing things, working on some amazing projects, the projects that we go and sit down at every day in a theater to see, and but you just don't know about those
Yeah.
those people, and it's very hard for younger people to see that that's a step that they can take. And I know a big thing that I've learned doing the show is not everybody's beginning is where their ending is. I've talked to some people that their journey is so amazing and just so powerful. I had a guest on my show, Andre, super talented. I gotta have him back on. He's a funny brother, but super talented, 3D modeler and animator. He learned animation and 3D in prison. So people have their own journeys of and he wound up working for Pixar and,
Yeah.
and companies like Pixar and Blue Sky. So everybody's beginning is never where their ending is, and you can see it's just fascinating listening to people's journeys, and learning myself that you know everything's not a straight line and you're still able to achieve your dream. And so I wanted to create a show that really highlighted that and really exposed opportunities, um, to creators of color and diverse backgrounds.
Aside from learning, what's been the most personal, rewarding thing that you've got from the show?
The friendships that I made. That's that's kind of my selling point when I talk to potential guests. Is I'm trying to build a community and a friendship that goes beyond them being on the show, because I know that that's where relationships and opportunities and things, you know, grow from the connections that you
Yeah.
make with people. And so that's been the biggest cherry on top is
Yeah.
just the friendships and the connections that I've made.
You know, one of the things you got me thinking, man, is that, you know, a lot of people look at, you know, have hosting a show, whether it's a podcast or a live show, but just a show.
Mhm.
And they look at, there's a lot of topics on, you know, how do you monetize this and how do you monetize that? And, you know, this
Yeah,
is, we're going to use podcasts to repurpose this for, you know, distribution and top of funnel. And you hear all these things right in our space, right?
yeah,
Especially in the whole digital marketing world. But I feel what doesn't get a lot of love, and I think you and I are definitely on this wavelength, and I've been screaming this at the top of the building, man. I've been a megaphone for this, is that although those are all great and we all want to monetize and make money doing what we love to do,
yeah,
the biggest benefit that I can relate to what you just said is just the relationships. I
yeah,
mean, the podcast has given me permission to build relationships with individuals who I had never, that were untouchable. And
yeah,
now I'm able to meet people from all walks, on like high profile guests to just like everyday content creators who I enjoy just as
yeah,
much as well. And I always say, if you want to 10x your network, start a show. Or if you want to, you know, this is the best virtual business handshake, you know, but more importantly, this is the best, I want to add to that, most best friendship handshake. Like,
yeah,
this is the way you can really cultivate not only a community, but some of the dopest relationships I've had, man, have been people that are
yeah,
outside, that are actually online, that I've interviewed on the show. So I think it gets overlooked a lot, man. I think a lot of people don't talk about that. And to me, that is the benefit more than
yeah,
anything else, because through the relationships, money comes,
yeah.
new connections, speaking opportunities, etc. You know,
And I think doing it, authentically and true to you.
for sure.
I mean, those, yeah, views and viral videos and monetization are all byproducts, I think,
Yeah,
of something, be better byproducts if you go into it with you genuinely enjoy what you're doing, and you would do it if it didn't have views, if you do it, if you didn't get paid, because trust me, there's gonna be times when you're just drudging through it, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And it works both ways. It's hard to, like I said, even if you're doing it with a team, you got to be motivated and hyped enough to keep your team motivated, with
yeah.
the show and what's going on. So either way, you got to believe in whatever it is that you're putting out, and you got to have some kind of connection with it, some kind of emotional connection with it in order for it to last, I think.
Yeah, well said. 1000% agree with that. Live streaming is probably one of the most unique mediums out there, man. I mean, it's unique in the fact that it's the real. I believe that it's the realest, most authentic of all mediums. Meaning that, yeah, all the hiccups, all the ums and ahs, you get what you
You
see
get
is
it.
what you
You
get,
get
right?
it. You get what you get. And
And
that's been a big plus as well doing the show. I've gotten better at handling the things that come up. We had our, like I said, doing our show, we've had our share of
the
stuff,
hiccups. Well, yeah,
you
man,
know.
and that's where I was going with this. Is that, it's the realest and also the most true community centric platforms. Meaning that you really are live, interacting with a live audience, and I think it is the best way to build community is through a live stream show. What has been like kind of the biggest like learning curve as a live streamer, and how has that helped you connect on a deeper level with your audience? What has that taught you?
Uh, I probably think the biggest learning curve is always kind of keeping up with the tech.
Yeah,
There's always new stuff coming out, and then there's always these little shiny objects that you want to go chasing after. We talked about it
yeah.
before. We've succumbed to it before. So, that's been the biggest challenge, is the tech and keeping kind of myself on course as far as, my focus for doing the show, but still, wanting to make it the best I can, learn as much as I can, and just make it as valuable as I can.
But for a new, let's say, new creator who's trying to get into the live stream, because I agree with you. I think, checking the tech
Yeah.
is definitely a challenge for the new creator that's trying to get into like live streaming, man. How can you tame that tech monster, and whilst, keeping in mind that you want to get started and
Yeah.
start building your
Yeah.
community? Any
I would
advice?
say, don't go into it so much with the notion of taming it, because you're not, because you're always going to be learning stuff. And I say just start where you are, and you'll just keep in mind, I guess, kind of the big three. You want good audio, obviously. And
Thank
even
you.
if you just, and I tell my guests, even if you just have a plug that plugs into your device that has, earbuds that has a mic on on that's way better than the computer mic.
Yes.
So, try and keep that in mind. Obviously, if you're doing a video live streaming, then, your camera, most cameras, most smartphones are almost as good, if not
Yeah.
better than some of DSLRs out there. So they shoot in 4K. And honestly, if you're going to YouTube, you're probably not even going to need 4K 1080
Mm.
because it crunches it down. So, I mean, you could use a phone, but just, have good lighting. Obviously, that's just going to make the in a good setting. I think that one of my pet peeves. I see a lot of people let the computer blur their background, or
Yeah.
defocus their background. I'm like, okay, I get it. I would rather you just use a plain white wall and just that. But I would say, or something,
Yeah.
rather than defocus or use the computers, the softwares,
Yeah.
AI to blur out the background. Unless you have a camera that does it, or a green screen, just get a nice setup.
Yeah.
Just find somewhere nice that's looks reasonable. Because you got to keep that in mind when you're shooting it. But those are kind of the big three. But just don't let that feel like you have to go out and spend money right off the bat, because you're not.
Yeah.
There's always going to be new technology, and there's always going to be new gear. Just start where you are and just iterate and
Yeah.
make it better from there.
So I heard four. I heard
Oh,
I heard audio,
yeah,
video, audio. So get yourself a decent microphone. There's
yeah.
microphones out there, 50, $60, get you hooked up. Number two, um, uh, camera, right? Whether it's your
Camera, whether it's your
smartphone
phone,
or
yeah,
webcam,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then
and
number
lighting,
three is lighting.
yeah,
Super important, especially if you
yeah,
want to have a video podcast or
yeah,
a live
yeah,
stream.
yeah, yeah.
And then the fourth, what I heard was environment. I
Yeah,
think that's
got
key.
to keep that in mind. Yeah,
Keeping in mind the environment and
yeah,
keeping the vibe, right? And again,
yeah,
if you don't have don't shy away. I think environment is important, and I think that's kind of the big one, right? For some of us who
yeah,
don't have studios, we're gonna make it work. We just make it work, and I think it's just being real, but also just keeping in mind that
yeah, yeah.
having some sort of aesthetic is
Well,
important. So I like that, man.
like I
Good
said, I
tips.
think if you're on a lot of Zooms, you'll see that, where you see a lot of people on there,
Yeah, I see it all the time.
and you
Yeah.
see a lot. Like I say, being mindful of how, well, most people aren't really, because they're not thinking about so much that, and that's kind of my thing when I talk, is you got to be mindful of how people see you and how you're presenting yourself as a business and a brand, and like that. And
Mm-hmm.
those are just the little small details. And I think the really good companies, they think about the small things that make them that much better.
And
And that's
stand
what I
out.
try and keep in mind with my show. The
Yeah.
little small things that
Yeah.
make me different than the typical stuff that you're seeing out there. They're great shows, but everybody's doing the kind of same thing. I want to stand out so that when you see my show, bam, that's the color of motion.
Yeah.
And you see my colors, bam, that's the
Yeah.
color of motion. When you hear the music, when you see all the visuals, you'll start to, and hopefully soon to be, the audio portion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's recognizable and
Yeah.
distinct from something that you typically see.
Well, let's dig into that, man, because again, that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on. And I mentioned this earlier, where it was, standing out in a very competitive space. Content creation, our creator economy, it's booming,
Yeah,
it's lucrative. It's a lot of great opportunities for content creators, and it's exciting. It's
yeah,
exciting time for us
yeah,
content
yeah, yeah,
creators,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
amazing. I'm really
It
really
is.
looking forward
Yeah,
to where it's going, and keeping in mind, and again, this is for, like, especially my everyday creators. The opportunity is there, but just keeping in mind the importance of leveling up and knowing, embracing where you're at. And a lot of it, there's constraints, right? Whether it's, you're on a shoestring budget
yeah,
and you just don't have a lot of resources. It's like, but you can still make it work. Let's talk to that, Don. Let's talk about, because you've done a great job of just kind of leveling up your show. Again, you mentioned adding different signature elements, your intros. I mean, and again, we're going to link it up in the show notes. Don had the Color Motion every Saturday as a really, really good, elaborate, fun show. It's interactive. It's fun. It's fun to look at. You'll enjoy it actually if you see it. And let's talk to the creator, man, who's starting early and be like, all right, man, I'm on a budget. I want to do the best to make my show stand out. What advice would you give to that early stage show, man, that wants to add a little bit of flair and some signature to it, but doesn't have a big budget? And let's take into account that they have an audio, they got a webcam,
Yeah.
they got an environment.
Yeah.
What else do we need to keep in mind, bro?
I mean, if you're streaming, obviously most streaming softwares, StreamYard, Ecamm, Restream, all of them now allow you to
Riverside.fm.
Riverside. They all allow you to import overlays and backgrounds.
Okay.
That's a simple
That's a
thing
good tip.
to level up your show. Tools like Canva make it so easy to make templates and overlays and things that, like I said, brandize you. You got to think, how does my brand look? And do I look different than all the rest of the stuff that's being churned out? And especially with AI now, things are getting churned out the same way. And if everybody's using the same tools, you got to think a little bit higher than, okay, what can I do to make my brand look different and stand out differently than the typical top bottom, Mr. Beast fonts type stuff, the typical transitions, all that stuff is great. It simplifies things in a lot of ways, but you also got to remember that everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's using the same tools. So everybody's videos talking head videos look the same. How can I look differently? And that's my thing. I want my show to not only be entertaining but informative, but look differently, and people can immediately see it and hopefully, like I said, hear it when they hear the intro and just immediately recognize that it's, oh, this is The Color of Motion. I've seen that show. I want to go see that show. And like I said, it's easy to get caught up in doing it and building it. And it's not until, you kind of hear from outside people the impact of what the show has done for them or what they think about the show. And they tell you, wow, I've never seen a show that looks this good, or I've never had a process being a guest on a show that it was so easy to book and all of that kind of stuff. It just helps to solidify that, okay, wow, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing okay. Just slow. It may not be at the pace that I would like it to be. I would love to go out and just have a big studio. And trust me, being a part of groups, you see how other people, because I use Ecamm to produce my show, and they have a community. But being a part of that, you see how other creators are really going way out. Trust me, when you see what I do, it scratches the surface of what other creators are doing, and that's why I agree with you. It's a great time to be a creator because there's so many tools, and it just true creators just need to get their hands on the tool to really, create some amazing things. It doesn't have to be in a real elaborate tool. And that's why a lot of, I get, encouragement from a lot of the guests that I have on my show, because a lot of them are from Africa. And so their resources, what they produce with the resources that they have, just amazes me. Just dealing with and I tell them, just dealing with things that we take for granted over here, just having power when you flip on a switch. We don't think about that. When we flip on a switch, we expect the power to be on and to last until a power outage goes, and that's very rare. But with people over in Africa, my brother and sister over in Africa, that's something that they have to think about, just in where they're at. And still trying to be creative, is very interesting and challenging. That's why I enjoy hearing how other creators are kind of navigating with the tools that they have. It's not so much about the tool, it's about the creator and what they put in within that tool.
Yeah, I love that you said it's about the creator and how we utilize that. I think one of the things, and you and I talk about this, is, kind of moving forward. I think, for being creatives, it almost feels like the creativity has been lost in following what everybody else is doing. I'm like, yo, we're creatives. There should be a lot more originality, more creative takes. And it reminds me back like in the '90s, in hip hop, where it was kind of that they deemed it like the golden era, because there
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
lot of different voices, different styles, different
yeah,
tones
yeah,
of voices. People were really, there was originality was
yeah, yeah,
respected. And then it gets really kind of like carbon copy. Everybody's just copying what the other person's doing and all that. And I feel
yeah,
like the creator
yeah,
economy is kind of in that space, man, where I feel like everybody's like, all right, so Alex Hormozy, big entrepreneur, podcast, whatever, creator, everybody was doing the captions and everybody wants to
yeah,
follow
yeah.
that style. So I feel like the creator economy is kind of like the 2000s of like the hip hop, where it was like everybody was just following what was trendy. And I think we need to revert back to a time where it was like 90. Let's bring the '90s hip hop back, where it's like for
Uh,
creators that are really embracing who they are, showing up differently, adding different takes to it, adding different
yeah,
fonts, overlays, and all that. I feel like we need to get back to it. I feel like we are,
yeah,
because I feel like a lot of people are tired of seeing the same old stuff, especially with
yeah,
AI.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody's doing, copy and paste. You're
yeah, yeah,
seeing all the same old stuff, crap,
yeah.
being posted. I think it's time for a creative revolution. I do believe, Don, that we are going to be seeing a lot more of that in 2025 and onward, man.
Oh
The
yeah,
revolution
yeah, 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 yeah.
must be
Well,
televised.
it's funny. Like I said, as money starts to get involved, your creativity kind
That's
of,
another thing too. Yeah.
it kind of eats at the creativity, and you kind of
Yeah.
try and balance it out with earning a living and making money and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I think, you know, it's kind of that adage, when you're younger,
Yeah.
it's fun, it has a passion. But then
Hmm.
when you have to, your life depends on you, and other people's livelihoods depend on
Yeah, it
you,
changes, man.
and you have to earn a living. It's a different thing of putting the demands of life and
Yeah.
stuff against your passion and what you want to do. And it's those rare ones that still they find this convergence of they love what they do and they're able to connect it with their life and have it sustain their life. It's those rare ones that
Yeah.
can manage that and bring their gift to support their life.
So going back to do just a recap for those who are watching and or listening, I love that you said, how to stand out is, adding overlays, lower thirds, really investing time and energy into the small
Yeah,
things. Don't
yeah,
skip over that. I've made the mistake a couple times already of where you just kind of feel like you want to put it out there, and that's why, Don, like I'm really, and I will say this, and this is where I plant my flag on it. I don't like the whole mentality of just get started, because I believe that's, to me, it's bad advice, because depending on the context, but because when I see creators just get started, I think what's missing is that they're missing a true vision, a strategy.
hmm,
And even if you are being resourceful or you are on a budget, there's an opportunity there for you to take time and energy and creative energy to invest in the nuances and some of the things that are going to make you stand out. So just getting started could be also detrimental in the fact that there's a lot of things that you can right now with your resources
yeah,
could really invest in and really make a big difference in your show if you just take time to invest.
yeah.
So I'm curious to get your take on it, man. Do you
Well, I mean, that's a fine line to kind of walk because we've talked about this before. Of you spend the majority of your time kind of nitpicking over the
Mhm.
details of stuff and letting that hold you back from. And my thing is, I think an imperfect something is better than a perfect nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say get started, I mean, yeah, you want to keep in mind, like I said, you definitely need to keep in mind kind of where you're going and kind of, hey, I'm putting myself out there, so I want to look the best that I can look. Let me see what I got and what will work, and maybe reach out and find out maybe something I can
Yeah.
afford that's a little bit better. To, get behind it. My thing is start. You know,
Doing something.
we tend to
Move the needle.
overanalyze. We
Yeah.
can tend to get into this
Especially
cycle of
creatives. Yeah.
overanalyzing and letting that stop us from doing the thing.
I see that. I
You
see that
know,
point. And because you're right. Because I mean, there is I do believe that action breeds clarity. And I do feel like, I know
Yeah,
you and I had talked about this, a lot of creators
yeah,
also struggle with this whole thing of just overanalyzing, over
yeah,
planning, and that never
yeah.
is going to move the needle, you
And
know?
most creators will tell you their thing is fail fast. If
Hmm.
it's something that is going to work, I'd at
Yeah.
least like to know right off the bat that it's not going to work. So let me
Yeah.
do it instead of trying to obsess over it and then it's still not work.
Yeah.
So let me
Good
try
point.
it, put it out, and I'll know whether or not it
Reiterate
works.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can iterate after
Yeah.
that or pivot after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's a good point. You know me, man. It's 2025. You know,
Yeah,
actually, we're edging towards a
it's
2025 New
coming
Year.
quick.
It's
It's
coming
coming
quick. It's
quick,
right
man.
around. So this will be out before. Hey, man. I know we talked about this over dinner not too long ago about like
Yeah,
predictions,
yeah.
and I'm working on something for the podcast community. Curious to know, man. Like, what do you predict? What are your predictions for live shows and live streaming moving forward in 2025? What do you see is going to be
It
the game changer? Thought
I
about that?
predict moving forward, it's going to be more interactive. I think as mixed reality glasses and technology really starts to blossom and see its burgeoning, it's going to be mixed into how can I make this remote. You already kind of see it with you've seen some of those like Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins have done these events where they got big walls of people on social media that have logged in. It's things, and that was during COVID because they couldn't do in-person events. So I think you're going to start to see as Meta starts to gain traction, Google, Apple Vision starts to gain traction. There's going to be this convergence of you know mixed reality, live reality, and just virtual reality. And how can we do the things that we're doing in that kind of context? And
So
so, as
more,
a
yeah.
live show, it's going to be even more wild. I'm already trying to kind of think of how I can incorporate motion capture characters
Okay.
into the show.
Yeah.
So, there's
Don't give away
software
your
out there that's
secrets,
doing
man.
now.
Don't give it.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah, I love it.
I think
I love it.
I am excited about what comes out
The creativity.
with creativity and the things that are coming out. That's why AI doesn't really scare me or
Right.
bother me because it's a tool.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what's going to come out with AI in the hands of true creatives and how they use
Mm.
it, type of thing. So I think about how I can use these tools to make what I'm doing more engaging, more fun, more interesting. And that's what any creator is doing. They're taking the tools that they are and just molding their vision through that tool, whether it's Photoshop, whether it's Illustrator, whether it's a camera, whether it's sculpting by hand, clay. All they're doing is taking a tool to express their idea out there
Yeah.
and make it palatable for people.
Man, I'm excited. Yeah, you got me thinking. I'm like, yeah, because I've seen exactly what you're talking about, and I think it is, especially with the live stream. And I also predict that too for the podcasting. I think we're going to see a lot more tools that are going to promote interaction, more community interaction. I
Yeah.
know community has always been a big topic for podcast creators,
Yeah.
but I
I
think we're
mean,
going to see
you've
more of that.
seen it. When
Yeah.
you started, podcasting was primarily audio.
Hmm.
It was audio. But then as they started to see people wanted to see the experience of what was going on in the podcast, it was just a natural
Yeah.
convergence of video into it. And so as podcasters start to think about how can I make this experience even
Yeah.
more engaging for my viewers, they're going to start to look at all these other tools that are out there that,
Yeah.
can do that.
That's a great point, man, and it got me thinking too. As far as I was writing my predictions for 2025, and that's one of the things that, Don. I don't know if you know this, man, but we like for podcasters getting into the video space for a lot of us for the first time, right?
Yeah.
It has been an RSS feed, audio only driven platform,
Yeah.
but now it's shifting, and we're seeing a lot more video podcasts emerging, and you're like, oh well, we've been doing live shows all since day one. This is not new, but now it's kind of merging together, right? It's a video podcast, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're still building brands. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, right?
No, it's
So
all content for
it's
your
all
brand.
content, right? It's
It's
all
all
content
content for
marketing,
your
but
brand.
we're seeing it merge, and I feel like one of the things that I'm excited about seeing, and I think that's the reason why I've been paying attention to what you've been doing, even though I have been paying attention as a fan, but now, like from a video standpoint, is that I think a lot of podcasters that are getting into the video podcasting space are going to look to individuals like you at the Color Motion who are really aesthetically packaging their shows for an overall brand
Yeah.
experience. And I think it's going to be important for video podcasters not just to do a StreamYard or Riverside, but it's like thinking, okay, how can I make this more aesthetically pleasing and fun for people to actually want to sit there and watch? I think there's a great opportunity, man, for you to kind of teach us how to package it, because I think we're going to see
like
that.
I said, it's a two-way portal, I see, because I learned a lot just on the audio side. Like I said, that's kind of been the secondary thing.
Hey, you sound great,
me.
by the way, man. You sound like a
Thank
podcast.
you very much.
It's a Barry White.
Boy, I love these mics. I tell people say, man, you ought to be a voice artist. No, trust me. It's the mic.
Just lower down the game.
Oh man. But like I said, if you really want to get a sense of just, what you get out of sticking with it and my one thing is be consistent.
That's it.
Just be consistent if you're gonna do it. Because like I said, you're inevitably gonna go through these periods where you just don't feel like doing it, or it's tough work. And like I said, even tougher if you're doing it by yourself. But be consistent and you'll see, like I said, I tell people, go back to the very first episode. You can see the progression and that's just the natural order of things. You get better at something the more you do it, and I'm just trying to learn these tools. That's, like I said, the hardest part, because there's so many great tools.
And that's ongoing. I mean, that's ongoing.
It's just, that's the really hard part. And challenging part. And therein is where you could find yourself stuck in paralysis analysis, trying to figure out, well, is this the best tool? Is that the best tool? Is this the best tool? That the best tool? Is this best software? This best platform? Type of thing. And it's easy to get kind of caught in that kind of hamster wheel. But, for me, I love the industry. That's the main reason. And I love the fact that, like I said, I'm able to inspire other people of color and diverse backgrounds. That's, the reason I do the show, and it's been a fun hell of a ride, both good and bad. But like I said, it's made me a better person, production wise. It's made me a better person on video. It's maybe a better person just kind of understanding technology and kind of connecting with audience. So the benefits have far outweighed the little minor stuff that you learn and go through, and the challenges that you have. So for me, it's been great, man. And I've had some great teachers along the way. Zio, you're always there in the audio portion of it. That just helps me refine it. If you say my voice sounds good, trust me, it's all due to Zio. Like I said, I love my Shure mic, and you learn that you just level up. You just get better, and you try and surround yourself and be part of a community where you can learn. I've learned a lot from the Ecamm community, just in gear, putting the show together. So it's not just been me. It's been a combination of all the people that I've learned from and just watched myself do this or try this.
Yeah. TheColorMotion.net is the show for you guys to check out every Saturday, and make sure you sign up to the newsletter.
I highly suggest go to the YouTube channel.
Oh, the YouTube channel. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
1K, baby. Road to 1K. Road to 1K. Let's go. Hashtag. And we're going to make sure we link it up in the show notes as well, but definitely support it. And I guess, can we say an exclusive announcement, or maybe that is going to come into the audio experience?
Yeah, the audio podcast is coming soon. I'm hot in the mix. And which is another thing you could thank he's been on my back for on that for a while. I've been missing out on my audio listeners. Like I said, while I love doing the show, I know there are a lot of people that would just much rather get a more condensed audio version that they can listen to. And of course, that is in the big works for first quarter of 2025 for sure. So I'm super excited about that. Like I said, Ozio's been definitely schooling me and helping me in that arena because, like I said, it is something I haven't really played in. So I'm super excited about growing my audio listener community as well for the color of motion. But I want to thank all my viewers and listeners for supporting the color of motion and being part of the show, the family. I say part of the family. My TCOM fam,
TCOM fam.
my TCOM fam. I so appreciate all of you loyal viewers and listeners of the show supporting it as well, and my guests and friends that come on the show and make it a great show as well. So I can't thank you enough as well. So it'll be season 5 will be kicked off in January.
Come on, man. Come on.
And we got a big one kicked off in January to kick us off in January. If you love Unreal Engine and want to know more about Unreal Engine, definitely tune into our first episode for season 5, because we got the great Jonathan Winbush, Unreal teacher and artist and motion designer, coming on and really going to show us some stuff.
Man, look at this, my boy. See that pre-marketing game, yo. I don't know if you caught that pre-marketing game. He already dropped you who's gonna be in that first episode of season 5. That's how you do it. That's how we learn from you, man.
He can cut that out though. This isn't live, so he can't edit that out.
All good, we will, man. But listen, hey, man, listen. I want to acknowledge you, man. I know, I've always shared this with you. I feel like every single time we talk about, of course, a shout out to Mega Minds when we talk, when we hang out, and I'm like, man. I'm so proud of you, man, because like even, since the day, we met to like, being on your show, the coffee and conversations, and then seeing it to Talking Creative, and then now Color and Motion. So I got to see like all the seasons, and I got to see the evolution, of Don Terrell and everything that you've done, and just the levels, man. And I think one of the things that I really admire about you, and I see that a lot of the common trait that a lot of creators, successful creators have, that we have, man, is that there's a growth mindset that's involved. That we know that we're here, we're going to start here, but we know that this season, next season is going to be the next level and the next level. So there's always like really cultivating a sense of taste, and we know that we're here and this is quality, but quality will evolve and it gets better and better, and we become better hosts, and we become better at packaging and branding and messaging, and this is an evolution. And I just want to acknowledge you, man, because you've really been on your game for a minute now, and you haven't been dabbling. You've been really committed to it. So I'm excited, man, for season 5. I'm excited for you to be on the audio experience, to finally download you on Apple and Spotify.
Yeah,
and
you will see me
walk the dog
soon.
and listen to Color Motion. You got to meet where your audience is at, man. So I'm loving that you're doing it, man, because I think it's going to be a huge success. So keep up, man. Keep up the great work, and I look forward. I'm glad that we're finally able to get this. This done. This
finally
fun,
been invited on the show and able to
Creator2Creator.
Be a part of Creator2Creator. Because, like I said, I've been watching the show and listening to the show for. Like I said, I've always admired every production that you put on, Jose. You're just good at doing it. And again, you mentioned it a minute ago, Mega Minds, the group. Just shout out to Justin, but that's crucial for me, is surrounding myself around people that help to keep pushing me. And so that's another big thing. Yep. You got to have people around you that help to encourage you, to uplift you, to correct you, course correct you when you need it. But all that stuff, you need people that kind of are those same core community and tribe that understand and get what you're doing.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah. Creator Factor fam, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Creator2Creator. Make sure, again, thecolormotion.net, everything linked up in the show notes, riverside.fm. Make sure you check them out. And again, we'll stay tuned for more episodes coming soon. As always, peace and one love.
Cheers.
Man, what happened to our 30 minutes, Don?
How long did we go?
You're like, whatever, man. Go ahead. Get your 30 minutes, man. Sure, whatever.